Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're back at a Great Valley practice crit, and I believe today is probably one of my best, or if not the best, race to date. And if you want to, if you want to watch more of this, please subscribe. I'll be uploading pretty regularly. I have another race coming up this Sunday, PA State Championships, so stay tuned for that. But today I want to talk to you a little bit about positioning, about how to race against a team when there is a big team in a race, and then also how to fight for your position. And I think that's something that I had to learn, and today I think I executed pretty well on that. Okay, and let's jump straight away to lap 3 of the race. Today my goal was to kind of stay in the field. I was trying to be a sprinter, or that was my goal, to come to the field sprint and see what I can do. So, I was just trying to conserve the energy, surf wheels. Basically, the idea was to have the lowest heart rate I can, in a race, and then, not going to brakes, be patient, and really try and find good wheels to follow. So here, very early in a race, still kind of middle of the pack, and that's in a race that's kind of, you want to be top third of the field, and that's a common knowledge. The problem is sometimes it's hard to get there. It's hard to fight and stay in that position. You easily get swarmed. So, and people don't usually tell you how to race there, how to stay there, and I think what one of the YouTube comments in a previous video was, try and get your handlebar in front of the guy on your side, and they will back off. And I think that's something I noticed today, or yesterday actually, when I raced, is as soon as I would get to the side of somebody and then push just a little bit more to get my handlebars in front of theirs, and then show intention that I'm gonna go cut in front of them, they would just back off. And I think I haven't really considered that before, but it really works. Like right here, and for example, I go in front of the guy and I just slide in and they let me through, which I guess it's just instinctively to do that, because I was doing that as well in my other races, where I just wasn't sure how people would get in front of me so easy. But you just want to back off because you don't want to crash. Obviously nobody wants to crash. So if you see somebody in front of you coming in and their handlebars in front of yours, you'll just back off. And there's a good saying where if it's a front wheel versus a rear wheel, the rear wheel will always win in a hypothetical crash scenario. So you never want to clash your wheels, especially your front with someone's rear. So if you see somebody in front of you trying to cut in, you will have and you instinctively will back off. So right here I see this green guy come up, I believe. Yep, I don't know his name, but he was very motivated early on. So I decided to stay on his wheel and really try and conserve. My heart rate here is 159, 157. 150s for me is very low. So I thought it was a really good race so far. And as I said, I think this was my best race yet, and we'll see that later. Last couple of laps I did a couple of bad decisions, which costed me a good position for the field sprint. Okay, so slight fast forward to lap 13, and up until now I was kind of in the middle of the field, just surfing wheels, preserving energy, and I slowly started moving up just around lap 10, kind of get to the top third of the field. I did notice that some people were starting to get a little tired. They weren't as snappy as they were initially in the beginning of the race, and what that tells me is that I could potentially get trapped behind them if a brake goes, and that is that's the danger of being too far back. If a split happens or a brake goes away or somebody attacks, you just can't react, and you have to rely on other people to cover that, and if they can't cover it, then you're shit out of luck. That's why people say it's very important to be in a top third of the peloton, which is, at that point, if you feel good, if you have energy, you can always react to what's happening around you. So that's my, that's kind of my goal here. I saw people getting, a little tired. and I wanted to really go ahead and stay in a top third just so in case something happens I can go. And then another thing that happened here is Jeff Watts actually went alone in a solo break. And now there is a team here, Team VESELKA. They had I think 7 riders today, and they were not represented in a break. And so now I think this will be a good example of how to race as a solo rider when there is a big team in a race. And I think this is a very specific example actually here, because you won't usually have a solo rider break away and a team not represented with so many riders. So this might not happen often, but at least you guys will know, I guess, how to race and how to be smart when racing against them. So I think right here, the VESELKA are the blue and black guys, and they had a girl as well with them. And I think right now they're trying to kind of organize a chase. And I will show you what I was doing to try and kind of maximize my energy savings and my speed in this race. So right here you can see them organizing slowly, starting to chase, and they're gonna start a rotation. And so my plan was to let them rotate, not get in between. So I'm letting this guy in to fill, and I'm right behind him, but I'm not gonna go and rotate with. So I'm not disrupting their break or their rotation, but I'm also not really contributing at all. Because I don't want to disrupt it too much, because I also want I want them to catch the break, because I do want to still fight for that win, but I also it's their job to follow that move. So whatever happens, they have to bring it back. They have the numbers. So right here, I guess I went to rotate once, but I'm really not being aggressive here. I'm letting them do majority of the work. And the guy behind me in the rear camera, I think that's Jeff's teammate, so he was doing the same thing as me. He was, if I was him potentially, I would probably try and go in and slow them down somehow. But he was also being pretty good, he wasn't disrupting, he was just kind of sitting. Which, at point when you're tired, somebody sitting on your wheel not working, that can be very disrupting and annoying. But it's racing, you're not obligated to do anything. Yeah, and so right here I'm sitting third wheel. They're kind of drilling it up in the front. We're going 31 miles an hour here. And again, I pass this one guy, but I'm not gonna do work. So here I just stay behind. And as they fill in, I just slot back in behind the last rider in their group. And I'm just letting them rotate again. The issue here is that, if the team wanted to, they could have tried and sent a couple of guys ahead. And if you're not careful, they could drop you, or they can have one guy that just decides not to go through and kind of stops you from doing this. And then you have to cover, because obviously if you're solo, you're kind of out of luck. But luckily for me here, they were all trying to work together. They didn't try to play any team games too much. Again, here I peel off, I let the guy slide in, and I just get to the back. And I'm sitting pretty nice. I like this position a lot. Comfortably top 10 wheels here, not doing much work. And so at this point, I can see that we're slowly catching up to Jeff, who is in a break solo. And since I don't have teammates and I see the VESELKA guys working, I was planning to launch a counter attack as soon as we catch the break. So I think we may catch him in the next lap, and that's when I counter. So that's another good strategy if you wanna tire out the field or tire out the group or the team. It's not a bad idea to maybe try and attack when you sense that they're tired or they're a little weaker. So I know that they're working really hard here to bring him back, so I'm kind of planning on my next move to try and put myself in the best position at the finish line. Again, my whole idea today was to be in a field sprint, so I know I wasn't gonna go, if a break miraculously happens, I'll go with it, but I wasn't gonna try and break today. But I do want to put him in some pain. And it's basically like a chess match at this point, slowly. Initially when I started cycling, it was more so try and hang on for your dear life. And now it's slowly transitioning to, I'm trying to calculate a couple of moves ahead. What can I do to make these guys hurt? To put, how can I maximize my strengths and how can I, win in the end? So you're thinking about all these things when you race. Versus initially, I guess it was just let's try and survive and get to the finish. And I think that's, when you can actually think about those moves and what you want to do, that's when you actually start racing properly. Beyond, like today, it was probably the fastest average speed I had yet at this race, and it was the easiest one so far. I think my average heart rate was 160. When usually it's probably 175 because I'm just drilling it too much. And I did some of those mistakes again in this race, but definitely not as many as before, I think Jeff teammate told me something about to be ready for a counterattack. But in my head I've already decided I was gonna counter here. I think we're slowly catching him, and we caught him now, and just about now I'm gonna launch. And in my rear cam you can kind of see a guy already, the orange guy was also planning to a counter, and I probably should have waited a couple more seconds and get on his wheel, but I decided to go. And it's not, that's another thing to also consider. Just be a little bit more patient sometimes. When you think I have to do this now, give yourself a second or two, and if nothing else happens, then go. You always have that time. So here, I attacked. I'm keeping the pace high. I'm trying out my new position. Still needs work, but it's definitely faster than what I used to do before. And here we actually pulled 4 people with us. And now this break ended up staying away for about 2 laps. So we got caught in the end, but what's good is that we forced the team Vitesse guys to work, because I know nobody in the field other than them will work to bring us back. So unfortunately Jeff's in there, so he's gonna probably work, but it is what it is. We know that those guys are gonna have to work, which works for me. And we ended up doing a pretty good rotation here. We work well together. I think the guy in the red skipped 1 pull, but that was okay. I think he was just not getting enough wind behind the guy with the giant bike in the black jersey, which I completely understand how that can really kill you in a break. And every time I go in the front, I try and go in my TT position, which I think works really well. I can push pretty decent 27, 28 miles an hour and not huge power. So I'm pretty happy with that, how that position is developing so far. I've been doing a lot of endurance rides in that position. Mostly, I think the most time I spent was about 50 minutes straight at my zone 2, straight through in that position. It definitely hurts a little bit by the end, but I'm getting used to it. I'm slowly trying to put my body even lower. So I'm overall pretty happy with it. And here's the red guy skips a pool, but it's okay. I really wasn't bothered by it. I didn't think we were gonna really get to the end in this anyway. But in my mind, as long as we stay out, the more they have to work, the better for me. And here, let's jump to the last 2 laps, and this is where I basically made my mistake. So Vitesse organized some sort of a lead out, and I decided to be right at the end of that train. Now that's actually not a bad position to be in, but my issue is I still have issues at falling very close at high speeds. So we're going at, well, 28, but this is a little bit of an uphill. So we're going about 30, 31 average here behind them. And I'm not close enough. If you look at where I am versus the guy in front, I should be right on his ass, but I'm not. So I'm having to, use up a lot of energy just to stay in the back. And that's not really, that's just my positioning issue. That's my, comfort level being so close to somebody at that speed. That's after working on my position and all of that other stuff. I think this will be the next thing to tackle. Just really be comfortable at this pace. But yeah, so that was basically the biggest issue. Just staying close enough to where I don't have to work a lot. So if I ever want to be a sprinter, that's something I really have to work on. So they did a kind of a lead out train, but nothing really, like it kind of disappeared. But I'm still sitting pretty good, right? There's one more lap to go after this, and top 5 wheels here. I think Jeff went in a break again, so they had to bring him back. So we did bring him back. And then another stuff that I started doing here is I'm letting too many people in front in the last 2 laps. I'm also staying too far to the outside, where I think last 2 laps it's really a matter of taking the shortest line possible. I think that's how you'll gain the most position, and that's how you'll save the most energy. You really don't want to be on the outside unless it's really a lot faster and you're too far back. If you're too far back, take the outside past people, but if you're up front, you can take your lines. Right here there's no one blocking me. I could have taken inside line and just moved up. But I go outside and I have another few people pass me, and I'm getting swarmed. And this guy in front of me, I think he just, tapped the guy on the shoulder and just slid in between. And that was a really good move. And I just stayed behind, and I think, right here I'm losing spots. I'm losing 10 wheels now, 20 wheels. Next, just passing me on my right. I'm taking the outside. So everything good I did so far, I basically lost in the last lap. Granted, I do have a lot more energy left, right? I feel good, but that's all pointless if you're not positioned right. So this right now, this is the last lap, and it was also kind of confusing because we again did not know when the last lap was. I think everybody was asking around, is this the last lap or not? So it was it's always confusing here, which is fine. I think I knew that this was the last lap, but I also wasn't 100% sure. So it is what it is. I think, you kind of figured it out because everybody started speeding up. You kind of know it's the last lap now. Took me a couple of races to figure that out. Here everyone's sprinting for position, and I already lost the race here. I'm just too far back, and again I'm taking the outside, and you can just see how many people moved up on the inside here. crazy. And again, I'm staying out. I can bring more speed, granted, now because I'm so far back if I take the outside, but I'm not really covered. The front of the pack is already, you know, turning for the sprint finish. And now at this point, it's gonna become a drag to the finish. I'm too far back for anything meaningful at this point. I see some guys move up. I start sprinting. I had pretty decent power. I think I was like almost 1400 there for that one. And that's it. I think I finished roughly 12th to 15th place. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I don't think anyone ever really keeps this record, but yeah, that's it guys. Thank you for watching. Again, subscribe for more. I'm gonna have another race coming up this Sunday. Yeah, keep pedaling. Cycling's fun. Learning a lot. I think I'm getting a lot better. Still have a lot of, you know, little things to work on, but so far so good. Thank you for watching.